My name is Gerald Guy. I will discuss the first topic of Chapter 6. It's all about training.
Training. In every organization, there is a need for a training and development manager who will make sure that the training the company will provide to their employees will give them the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in their jobs. Plans the training by. We have three plans of training. First, we have start reviewing the company's organizational objectives and by evaluating the existing training in light of those objectives. Second is to decide what additional training is needed to match employee needs with company needs. The third is to suggest the training programs value to the company. When training is approved, develop a training plan that includes project planning, project commencement, and project implementation and control. After the training is administered, distribute a certificate of completion to recognize participants' efforts. Assess current training programs. The company is likely to have some kind of training in place already. Even it's ad hoc and informal, look at what's there particularly. First is how well trained are employees at all levels. Second is what process is in place to propose and approve training. Third is what methods are used to train and develop people. The last is the what overall priorities is training given and what resources are set aside for it. Produce a plan. It's essential to have written training plan before you begin working with employees on their learning agendas. A written plan serves two purposes. The first purpose is it's a document that you can share with management. A commitment from management to support training is crucial to success of the program and manager need to know what they're committing to. You're a lot more likely to succeed when your plan is reviewed and approved by company leaders. The second is it's a benchmark for measuring the effectiveness of training activities. With a written plan, you can assess the original plan against what actually happened and also gauge the quality of training and the benefits that result. You may want to address the following in your plan. First is the process of identifying and assessing individual training needs. Second is how employees will be trained and developed within the organization. The third and the last for the following in your plan is available resource include financial. Employees role. Make sure that every employee understands the company's business objectives. What is each employee's role in helping to achieve those objectives? This is an interesting topic of discussion for managers and team members. Everyone can gain a better understanding of their role in the company and achieve greater job satisfaction as they start making connection between what they do and the company's business goal. When employees understand their role within the company, they should try to identify what changes are necessary to meet individual, groups, and corporate goals as each employee to try and pin down what training is needed to bring about those changes. In most cases, acting in isolation isn't enough to change the way a business works. Each employee usually needs to approve and support of a manager and fellow workers. It's crucial to look at the learning needs the group in additional to those of individual. After employees have identified what learning is necessary, they need to develop a learning agenda. E-learning is one from the training work exploring. When employees have mastered new skills or acquired new knowledge, they should be encouraged to share it with others to the benefits of the entire organization.
Now, let's move on to counseling employees. In today's fast-paced corporate world, there is virtually no organization free of stress or has employees who are stress-free. The employees can be stressed, depressed, suffering from too much anxiety arising of workplace and related issues like managing deadlines, meeting targets, lack of time to fulfill personal and family commitments, and some are disturbed due to some personal problems. And the difficulties that come with the problem, employees may seem easily corrected by termination. However, if you believe the employee's performance can be altered, counseling employees is an intermediate step before firing. There are 5 steps for effective employee counseling. Number 1. Addressing the problems head on. The first step, of course, is approaching your employee to inform them that there is a problem with their performance. You can set up a private meeting to discuss their performance issues in detail. Set a date, time and place, and allow them to bring along a support person if that would make them feel more comfortable. During the meeting, explain all the issues you have noticed and provide them with as many details as possible. Make sure you are friendly and approachable since you want this to have a positive outcome. You don't want to come off too harsh and scare them away. Ask if they realize that their performance has been declining and determine whether they have some personal troubles that are negatively affecting their work. Then, if they are willing to improve their behavior, you can offer them counseling and work out exactly what can be done to solve the issues at hand. Number 2. Choosing the appropriate type of counseling. Next up, you have to decide on the kind of counseling required. And there are 3 to choose from. Number 1. Telling or the directive approach. 2. Coaching or non-directive approach. And 3. Selling or participative approach. Under the telling or directive approach, the supervisor or counselor does most of the talking during the counseling session and directs the employee concisely on what to do and when to do it. But the major disadvantage to employing the telling approach is that it discourages employees from taking part of formulating alternatives, consequently inhibiting personal and professional growth. When it comes to coaching or the non-directive approach, supervisors spend most of their time listening rather than talking. Employees are encouraged to develop action plans, and counselors ensure that action plans support goals and objectives. This approach is time-intensive and requires the greatest amount of counselor skill. One of the positive attributes of employing this type of counseling is that it encourages personal responsibility. And when it comes to selling, the combination of the directive and non-directive approach are used. Using this approach, the counselor provides guidance but avoids directing. Planning and decision making are responsibilities of the employee, but counselor assists with the development and evaluation of alternatives. Number 3. Relying on innovations in the HR sector. If it is established that a certain employee's decrease in productivity, it is a result of workplace burnout. But there are preventive measures that you can take. Your HR department should be on the lookout for signs of burnout, and noticing these signs can be made easier by implementing certain tech innovations. Artificial intelligence has started playing a big role in analyzing the behavior of workers, and it can often tell when somebody is acting out of the ordinary. Collecting data on the employee's typical work patterns can help HR decide whether someone needs a break or vacation. Furthermore, while the opinions on using AI differ, people can also opt to solve their issues with the help of a virtual AI psychologist. AI psychologists are designed to appropriately help people to solve any issues they have, so this may be a viable option to guide employees down the best path. Number 4. Giving useful feedback to employees. It could be the case that a manager has not been giving any feedback to their employees, so they did not take the time to analyze their performance and notice their issues early on. To avoid this in the future, make sure to have regular performance reviews. It is also beneficial to talk to employees and ensure they can always come to you for any problem they might be having. Provide your employees with specific details in terms of their performance and potential areas of improvement. Don't just tell them that they are doing great. Actually list all the things they are doing well. The more specific you are, the better the chance they will know exactly what they should do and improve in themselves. You should do this during counseling session as well. That way, they will know where their progress stands. Number 5. Don't forget to follow up. After the counseling period is completed, you should still pay close attention to that particular employee. You need to make sure they are following the suggested methods of improvement. See how they are behaving in a real work setting and whether their performance is actually better than before. After some time, call them in for another meeting. Ask them how they are doing, if they feel different now, whether there is something else bothering them, or something they think can be improved upon more. Go through their results, and if they are positive, encourage the employee to continue working at their newly improved level. If the outcome is not as good as you had anticipated, explore your options. Do they need more counseling, a warning, or should their employment be terminated?
My name is Victor Magallanes, and I will discuss about the effective plans of action. If you will look at the module that was sent in our Google Classroom, the given scenario is about making an action plan about a problem employee, knowing what is the problem in the company, on how you gather information, and how you handle the problem, or making a plan how to solve the given problem. This is one of the example of effective plan action, and I will discuss a different scenario of action plan. Everyone has goals, but some people seem to be more successful than others in achieving them. That's because people accomplish goals at a higher rate are those who have developed a personal action plan. An action plan is a checklist for the step or task you need to complete in order to achieve the goals that you have set. It's an essential part of the strategic planning process and helps with improving teamwork planning. What is the purpose of the action plan and its advantage? Developing an action plan can help change makers turn their vision into reality and increase efficiency and accountability within an organization. An action plan describes the way your organization will meet its objective through detailed action steps that describe how and when these steps will be taken. Now that we already know the purpose and the advantage of the action plan, let's learn how to create an action plan. First step to make an action plan is deciding exactly what you want. Clarity is the most important single quality of goal setting, and perhaps the most important single quality of success. Most people have no idea what they really want. Most people unconsciously preoccupy with the fear failure, which blocks them from setting clear specific goals. Second, write your goal or goals down on paper. Only 3% of the adults have written goals, and everyone else plans to write them down someday. Success begins with a piece of paper, a pen, and a few minutes of your time. You can start with the 3-goal method. In less than 30 seconds, quickly write down your 3 most important goals in life right now. Wherever 3 goals you manage to write down is probably an accurate picture of what you really want in life. When you actually write a goal down, it is as if you are programming it into your subconscious mind. and activate a whole series of mental powers that what enable you to accomplish much more than you ever dream of. You begin to expect achieve the goal and you start to attract people and circumstances into your life. There is consistent with the attainment of your goal. The third step is setting a deadline. If it's a large goal, set a series of sub deadlines. And what if you don't achieve your goal? By set another deadline. Remember, a deadline is just a guesstimate of when you will achieve it. You may achieve the goal well in advance, or it may take your time longer than you expect. But you must have a target time before you set off a deadline. Acts as a forcing system on your subconscious mind toward achieving your goal on schedule. And you want to achieve financial independence, you may set a 10 or 20-year goal and then break it down year by year so that you know how much you have to save and invest each year. There are no unreasonable goals, only unreasonable deadlines. The next step in creating an action plan is making a list of everything that you could possibly think of that you will have to do to achieve your goal. After having a written goal, one of the things that holds people back is not taking the time to lay out a list of all of the little things they will have to do to get there. Identify the obstacle that you will have to overcome. Identify the knowledge, information, and skill you will need, and then identify the people whose help and cooperation you will require to achieve your goal. The more comprehensive your list, the more motivated you will become. The more intense will be your desire, and the more you will believe it as possible. Combine all these things into a plan, organized by priority and sequence. Priorities is more important and less important. Sequence is what you have to do before you do something else, in what order. List every single step that you can think of that you'll have to follow. As you think of new items, add them to your list. Now that you have this comprehensive list, schedule it into a comprehensive plan. Plan each day, week, month in advance. Plan each month at the beginning of the month. Plan each week, the weekend before and plan each day the evening before. More careful and detailed you are when you plan your activities tasks, the more you will accomplish in less time. The rule is that each minute spent on planning save 10 minutes on execution. Then as you go through each day of your plan, select your number one most important goal for today. Ask yourself, if I can do one thing on this list, which activity is most important? Ask yourself, if I could only do one other task on this list, which one would be the most valuable use of my time? Then write a number 2 next to it. Now keep asking this question until you have the top 20% of your tasks organized by sequence and priority. And now you have an action plan. Your next step is to take action. Keep track of your progress and make adjustments along the way. Make sure you're doing something every day to move you in the direction of what you really want in life.
Now to the counseling tips. We have 10 tips here, and the first one is active listening. In terms of counseling, the counselor must listen attentively to the words that the employee is saying, and the counselor must know how to observe the non-verbal behaviors and manners to properly address internalized thoughts and feelings and to avoid misunderstanding. The next one is responding to the employee verbally and non-verbally. The counselor must know to properly respond to the employee verbally and non-verbally. Verbal responses should consist of summarizing, interpreting, and clarifying communicated messages, refrain from smothering the employee by overtalking him or her, and to avoid constant interruptions. Non-verbal responses consist of eye contact. Maintaining eye contact without staring demonstrates sincere interest, and by doing so, it would be easy for you to get employees' trust, but be sure to consider cultural differences in determining proper eye contact. The next one is body posture. As a counselor, you have to avoid slouching and be relaxed. You have to present an open posture facing an employee and leaning forward to exhibit sincerity. The next one is head nods. We all know that head nods demonstrates agreement and encourages the employee to continue to communicate. As a counselor, you must know when the right time to nod your head to avoid misconception. The next one is facial expressions. Facial expressions should appear natural and relaxed. You don't have to pretend. You just have to be real in front of the person being counseled, because he or she might notice it if you are real or fake. The next one is questioning should be open-ended. Open-ended question is a question that cannot be answered with a yes or no response or with a static response. This kind of question may help to verify understanding, encourage further explanation, or help move an employee through the stages of the counseling session. The next one is respect for person being counseled. It is important that you, as a counselor, you respect the people in front of you or the person being counseled, because it would be easy for you to conduct an effective counseling, and also it improves the chances of changing or maintaining behavior and achieving outlined goals. The next one is self-awareness and cultural awareness. In this counseling tip, you must be fully aware of your values, needs, and biases prior to counseling employees. Self-aware supervisors are less likely to allow their biases to influence the counseling process. In addition, supervisors need to be conscious about the similarities and the differences between individuals with different cultural backgrounds and how these factors may influence values, perspectives, and actions. The next one is empathy. The word empathy is used to describe a wide range of expression. It is also defined as the ability to sense other people's emotions. It provides grounding effect on the plan of action, ensuring that it is feasible and achievable from the perspectives of the employer and the employee. The next one is credibility. The word credibility is used to describe as the quality of being trusted and believed in, the quality of being convincing or believable. The supervisors or the counselor achieve credibility by being real and honest and consistent in their statements and towards to the person in front of them. Perhaps the most difficult challenge new supervisors are faced with is determining what style of counseling to use. Experienced supervisors realize early on that a single counseling style will not apply universally to all the situation with the same effectiveness. To conduct an effective counseling, a counseling style should be developed using the characteristics listed below. The first one is purpose. As the supervisor or the counselor, you have to clearly define what is the purpose of the counseling being conducted. State the reason for conducting the counseling upfront, like ask the person in front of you to discuss what it is all about. The second one is flexibility. The supervisor or the counselor must be flexible and must understand that there are a lot of counseling style to be used in every situation. The third one is respect. We all know what respect is all about, and in terms of counseling, the supervisors or the counselor must view employees as unique and complex individuals with a distinct set of values, beliefs, and attitudes, and they should be treated differently. The fourth one is communication. Understanding two-way communication using spoken language, non-verbal actions, gestures, and body language is important for the supervisors or the counselor to perfectly execute the counseling process. The last one is support. It is about encouraging subordinates through actions, and it is important for every counseling the support system.